Sports Talk with Phil Kornblue, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk on this big Thursday night across South Carolina. Another beautiful day in the Palmetto States, and we hope you enjoyed it. And we give a shout out to all the veterans in our audience across the state of South Carolina. And we thank you for your service, your family service. And you're not forgotten here on Sports Talk. And we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing without what you sacrifice. So we thank you very much. Phil Kornblue, Chris Bergen, Pat Daniel, also speaking for Matt Smith, part of our Sports Talk family here. And we welcome in any veterans who want to chime in tonight and talk some sports, maybe talk about something a little lighter on your mind tonight. 888-898-2525 is our phone number here on Sports Talk, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to join us. Got a busy show for you because we've got a lot going on. Of course, the Panthers have brought Cam Newton back. We'll talk about that and get your thoughts on how he might fit in. Not going to start, not going to play this weekend. Wouldn't think he's going to play. Not even sure they can get him ready. He's not going to start. And of course, we've got South Carolina preparing to hit the road to go to Missouri. I'll be heading out to the other Columbia to cover that for Sports Talk. Be on the air from Missouri tomorrow night. We've got Clemson, of course, at home to Connecticut, which does now have a head football coach. Well, they have one, but they've got their permanent guy, Jim Mora Jr., which I think is a very good hire for the Connecticut program. A guy with a name, a guy with a reputation, a guy with a resume that is quite good, in my opinion. So I think that's a really good hire for Connecticut, considering where that football program happens to be right now. Plus, we've got basketball. College of Charleston opens up tonight, and plenty of basketball coming up on the horizon as well. So we got so much to talk about. High school playoffs tomorrow night. We get to the second round. So, Bergie, we got plenty on our table to feast on tonight on a big Thursday here in South Carolina.
Feels like a Thanksgiving Thursday, doesn't it, Phil, with everything on the smorgasbord? Jim Moore taking over at UConn. I would agree with you. You get a name in there, but I'm wondering if, from his perspective, on the outside looking in, did he just want to get back into coaching and he felt like this was his best opportunity in college football to get back after a stint with UCLA? And, of course, he coached the Falcons as well in the NFL. He's got certainly that resume you pointed out, but, boy, he is taking on a really, really, really difficult rebuild up there.
No question. I mean, they're the worst team in the country.
Exactly. Can only go anywhere but up, though, right?
They're the worst team. They're 130th out of 130 in the power index, and they're not going to be sitting any better after they deal with Clemson on Saturday, which brings us to the question. We talked about it some last night. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. If you're Dabo Swinney, how many snaps do you give DJ Uiagalelei on Saturday? Between, let's say, I'll give you a range of snaps here. Let's say between 0 and 40. How many would you give him?
0. I wouldn't even give him his helmet, shoulder pads, nor his jersey. He's standing on the sidelines in sweats tomorrow or Saturday. Yeah, there's just no reason. And I felt that, a little bit vindicated and validated by Will Merritt last night, former Clemson player. Obviously, he's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know, and he said the same thing. He wouldn't play DJ. There's just no reason, Phil. I just don't understand any thinking along these lines of we need to get him out there because it's the biggest game and we want to make sure all of our starters are there. The only thing that can happen, unfortunately for Clemson, with DJ playing is he could hurt his knee worse. Mm-hmm. If he goes out and plays well against UConn, what does that prove? Tyson Pumashon should get a shot to start this weekend, and I would think take it into the second half, and then maybe you turn it over to your backups after that. But 0 to 40, I will go on the low end of that. He should take 0 snaps on Saturday.
All right, very good. Pat, what do you think? You think Uiagalelei should get some work, or is it smarter for Clemson considering they should be able to handle Connecticut with ease if they would have run Pumachan out there and then going to get it right, Hunter Helms out there, or anybody else in that quarterback room.
The only reason I would think that he should see any snaps would be maybe the first series of the game or second series of the game, just to keep him in that rhythm of getting at least some snaps in game action, just to keep him fresh. But I don't think there should be anything beyond that. You need to see what you have in Tyson Pumachan, just in case this knee injury for DJ is worse.
Mm-hmm.
What if it ends up it flares up at practice one day or next week, and you need somebody to step in those last couple of games of the season, in particular that matchup against South Carolina? You really need to give Tyson more meaningful snaps. We saw the rust he exhibited last week in that game against Louisville, and maybe he needs to shake that off a little bit. And this is a great opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I don't know what Dabo Swinney's going to do here, because he's of that mindset that, you know what, it's football. And you run them out there. You can't take your eye off the ball. You can't approach a game. I mean, we can approach it in the media. He can't approach the game as this team being the worst team in the country, and it's just going to be a walkover. I mean, he played his regulars against South Carolina State for a certain amount of time. Now, you didn't have an injury situation with your starting quarterback at that game. I get
NC
that.
State's better than UConn.
Yeah, I would say so. But Dabo's of that old school mindset. I think that it's football, and if we're gonna get hurt, we're gonna get hurt. It's that kind of game. I don't protect anybody that's physically, if they're cleared by the doctors and physically able to play, needs to be out there working on his game, trying to get better.
Hey, it is a track record that has worked extremely well for him, Phil, and I would never criticize that, because he's got the resume to say, look, this is how we have approached every single football game since I've been the head coach at Clemson. He's got 2 national championships, multiple ACC championships, multiple ACC Atlantic Division titles. I mean, there are so many things that he has accomplished by taking that mindset of one game at a time. It sounds really silly and trite and somewhat corny, but it has worked so well for them. So I understand his point, but it's just, this is a situation that even with that as your mindset makes no sense. The risk reward is so far on the risk side. I just don't know why you'd run DJ out there, but I imagine we shall see him start the game on Saturday. You would hope that the offense drives in for a couple of scores really early in the game, and then you can get him out and move on where we all feel it should be, starting with Tyson Pumachan.
Yeah. So how many points is that? I mean, 21 when they're up 21-0, when they're up 28-0.
That's a great question.
I mean, how do you make? I guess
again, I think you pull him when it's 0-0 and they're 15 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yeah,
but
you don't want him out there at all.
No, I don't see any reason to have him play. But that being said, probably if it gets to 28-0 in the second quarter, that's when you yank him.
All right. Now, while we're talking quarterbacks, let's shift gears and go to the Gamecocks. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Jason Brown going to get his second start. Maybe we're starting an era here. Maybe it's the Jason Brown era of quarterbacking at South Carolina. We shall see. And, he did really good things. He played poised. He played under control against Missouri. Let's see if he comes out against Florida. Let's see if he comes out with the same poise and control of the situation against Missouri on the road. Road is different. It's a different animal than home to some degree. I'm not sure what to expect out there from a fan support standpoint at Missouri. I would imagine they'll have 45,000, 50,000, which would be a good crowd for them considering what they're going through. And I would say that South Carolina's game plan is going to be to attack the defense of Missouri on the ground until Missouri shows that they can stop South Carolina on the ground. This could be a game, if you wanted to work him to death, this could be a game where Kevin Harris could log 200 yards. If this Missouri defense plays down to what it has this year, they're 129th in the country against the run, giving up 270 rushing yards per game. There is no reason for South Carolina to really game plan any other item of their offense heavily besides the running game. And just tell those offensive linemen, remember how you hit those guys wearing the Gator uniform? Do the same thing with the guys in the Missouri uniform, and you'll do well.
I would agree. The offensive line was the difference maker to me. As good as Jason Brown was, I don't think he plays nearly as well if they do not establish that ground attack and get 200 yards rushing the way they did against Florida. I think that took so much pressure off of him. Well, heck, even more than almost 300 yards rushing against Florida. And it took so much pressure off of him. It made it easy for him to settle in and make some throws. And there's no question, listening back to his media availability yesterday, he talked about his skill set of being able to keep plays alive and continuing to look down the field and make some throws on the run. And we saw that portion of his arsenal on display against Florida. But I think you're exactly right, Phil. And I wouldn't mind seeing, if you're South Carolina, go back, run that I formation once again, have the fullback in there and block for him and help get those other 5 guys in front. Open up some holes for Zakondre White and Kevin Harris and Juju McDowell and everybody in the backfield.
All right, 888-898-2525 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. Now to Cam Newton, and boy, reaction has been nothing but glee on the part of Panthers fans, and maybe justifiably so, because they've not seen great quarterback play in a while. And you go back and you look at Cam Newton. Of course, he's had some injuries to deal with in the last couple of years. If he's healthy, can he get back to anywhere near where he was as an MVP? So I did a little math on all this. In his last 31 starts between the Panthers and the Patriots, he was 13-18. Now, you can't put everything on the quarterback, but you know what? They make the most money. They get the most glory when they win, and they probably should take the blame when they lose. 13-18 as a starter in those 31. He was 612 of 928. That's 66%. That's pretty good. Wouldn't complain about that. 6,824 yards, 32 touchdowns, but 24 interceptions. That's not the ratio you're looking for. He was sacked 66 times in those 31 games. He did rush for 1,078 yards and 16 touchdowns. So there's a lot of good in there. There's some bad. My question is, if he's the answer to the problems with the Panthers right now, there's a lot of other NFL teams who need improved quarterback play. Why did it take this long, 10 weeks into the season, 9 weeks, 10 weeks into the season, for somebody to pick him up? And it had to be the Panthers.
I think the Panthers make the move because of a little nostalgia, trying to conjure up a little bit of 2015 Cam Newton as an MVP and getting them to the Super Bowl. That player is long gone, Phil. Looking back at his numbers from that year, he completed 60% of his passes, threw for over 3,800 yards. He also was able to run the football, and that was the difference in Cam Newton back then. And then later in his career, it always bothered me watching the Panthers with him at quarterback the final couple of years. They tried to turn him into a pocket passer. That's not his game. He was a run-first quarterback, and with the frame of a linebacker and the height that he has as a tight end, I mean, it made perfect sense. But when they started to kind of pigeonhole him into what your prototypical Tom Brady quarterback looks like, I just never thought it worked for Cam. But I guess they're hoping to be able to reconjure some of that and bring him back into the fold for his final couple of years. I just don't know that it's going to work, because I don't think Cam Newton's that quarterback anymore. He's gotten long in the tooth, if you will.
He's getting $10 million for half a season.
Not bad at all, is it?
A roster bonus and everything else. So, I mean, look, if you're Cam Newton, go for it, man. But it will be P.J. Walker starting for the Panthers against the Cardinals. They go out to Arizona this weekend, so that's who'll be starting. All right, that's some of the stuff we're kicking around. We got more to tell you about. We've got recruiting coming up for you. We'll have some chalk talk, and Coach Reedy's going to try and join us. He's somewhere down near where did he say he was? Portugal. He's somewhere down there near Portugal.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, but he did contact us, or I contacted him, and he got back. And he's going to try and connect along with Ellis Johnson. Mike Morgan, a little bit after 7 o'clock. He's got football and basketball going on, so we got a great show. We'll be back in a moment.
COVID-19 booster shots are now available for those 65 and older, long-term care residents, and those 18 and older with underlying medical conditions or at high risk. See if you're eligible at scdhec.gov/COVID-19 booster. Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxfax.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
Phone number 888-898-2525. Of course, that's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number in the Sports Talk each and every night. Did you know that since 2002, more than $174 million in lottery proceeds have been used to purchase, maintain, fuel over 2,000 school buses in South Carolina? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. Let's update you on a few other major stories of the day besides Cam Newton. And also you had in the NFL, the big news that Beckham is going to join the Rams for the rest of the season. So that's all that offense needs, is another huge weapon if he can manage to play within the framework of the team and not, make everybody mad. But he is such a talent. You roll the dice and hope that it works out if you are the Rams. Former Clemson running back Ches Malusi, who was the leading rusher at Wisconsin, he's out for the rest of the season. He's got a knee injury. That was announced today. There are issues at Georgia. Of course, you know about the story involving their leading pass rusher, Adamson, who is out indefinitely after being charged with a crime and is suspended while all that's going on. And now word comes out today that one of their top receivers, Arian Smith, broke his leg in practice. Wednesday, he's going to have surgery, and sources are telling Georgia people that this could possibly end his 2021 season. So that's a couple of big-time playmakers, one on offense, one on defense, who are out for Georgia. Now, Georgia's trying to get George Pickens going again, coming back from that ACL, and he's been doing more and more in practice and maybe getting closer and closer to getting to the team, but he's not there yet. So that's a blow on each side of the ball there for Georgia. This story today coming out of Chapin, reported by the state newspaper, one of the state's top high school football prospects, David Galloway III from Chapin, running back who was committed to NC State. He was arrested, accused of criminal sexual conduct with a minor.
Oh, boy.
And he is charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor age 11 to 14. He was jailed at the Glenn Detention Center in Columbia today. And details of circumstances of the charge are not clear. but the state has requested police reports that could clarify the accusations. And Galloway is a good prospect in terms of his football. Rushed for over 1,000 yards and 25 touchdowns this season, and committed to NC State. And of course, he's a legacy tie to the University of South Carolina through his grandfather, I believe, was the great Benny was the running back at South Carolina, Benny Galloway. I believe that's his grandfather. So, but that's the story that came out this afternoon, and will be something that will be watched closely in these parts, and we'll see what happens with that. And let's see our poll question. If you haven't had a chance to vote in this week's poll question, you have got 2 more days to get your vote in. And you know what we'll do? We'll rerun it again next week, and then the week after that, to see how you're feeling. So the question is, of course, about the upcoming USC and Clemson game, how you feel after seeing the teams last weekend, what you're leaning on how the game's going to turn out. 666 votes. We're at 666.
Somebody go vote, please.
Yeah, we need one more vote. Hurry. Get us off of 666. That's not good. But things are getting tight. 47.3% of 666 votes say the Gamecocks win close. 36.8% say the Tigers win close. And then 9.9% have the Tigers winning by a lot, and 6% have the Gamecocks winning by a lot. So you've got basically 53% overall saying the Gamecocks will win, and 47% saying the Tigers will win. At this point, what do you think the spread will be? I would say, of course, again, the spread will be influenced by what happens the next 2 weeks.
Sure.
I'm going to say, as of today, having seen both teams in person a lot, I would say I would make Clemson a 10-point favorite.
I would agree. I think if they played Saturday, that would be the line.
Yeah.
10.5.
Yeah, I think so. I still think South Carolina's going to have a very hard time with that Clemson defense. Even if South Carolina's offense has improved, I just think they're going to have a hard time blocking them. Everybody has a hard time blocking Clemson's defense for the most part. Well, here's the other thing that I meant to mention about South Carolina, Missouri, where the Gamecocks have got to be careful. And we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for Missouri. If Bazelak is the quarterback, I mean, that changes things for them. Got the so-called soft tissue issue, and that's what kept him out of Georgia. Of course, they might have kept him out of Georgia thinking, why let him take a beating against Georgia? Can't beat him anyway.
Sure.
Keep him healthy for the games that come. But anyway, that's probably not the reason. But I mean, the Gamecocks did give up early in the ball game against Florida some big plays down the field. I know they made some plays, and generally speaking, their secondary was praised for the performance, but they did give up some balls early on down the field by Emory Jones and the Florida offense. And
well, and Phil, that's what
Missouri to do that. Missouri's got that running back. Well, Beatty, their running back, is their top receiver and the top running back. So you got to watch that guy.
Well, and Phil, listening to Shane Beamer, that was the game plan. They came in with a concerted effort that Florida was not going to run the football on them. As good as the Gators have been this season, top 10 in both yards per carry and total rushing yards per game. And South Carolina held them to 82 rushing yards. Yeah. I think if you get that kind of defensive effort again, you're not terribly concerned about maybe 2 45 or 50-yard pass plays, because that's about all Florida hit. You take those 2 or 3 plays out of the mix, and Florida really struggled offensively. So I don't know that you go too far away from that game plan. Be curious to see what Ellis Johnson has to say about how you would approach Missouri coming off the dominating effort that South Carolina had against Florida.
No, the Gamecocks called a break, and that Thompson couldn't play because he was dancing and hurt his knee. That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He was dancing the night before. That's just, when it goes bad, it goes bad. Even when you're not involved with it going bad, as Dan Mullen had nothing to do with that. But there goes one of his top players gets injured dancing the night before the game. But the thing about Missouri and South Carolina really can't take its eye off the ball. Their offense is potent. Okay, their offense is 31st in the country. Or they're averaging 31 points a game. I'm sorry about. The ranking is probably, I think they're in the top 40 somewhere. They're averaging about 32 points a game. Bazelak, their quarterback, is quality.
Yes, he is.
And he's a guy that hangs in the pocket and can complete passes all over the field. We will get to Chalk Talk after the break and talk more about all that.
Forecast won't cool down much this evening. Low dipping to just 59. Tomorrow, morning clouds clear out. A gorgeous Friday afternoon. Look for sunshine. 75 is our high. For the weekend, we'll have sunny skies. A high of 69 for Saturday. Cooler on Sunday with sunshine at 62 the high. Chilly weekend nights coming your way. Bundle up. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Jurors in the trial over Armand Arbery's death are watching security camera videos from a home under construction that the 25-year-old black man was seen running from before he was fatally shot. Property owner Larry English said in pre-recorded testimony that his camera recorded Arbery at the construction site 5 times between October 2019 and February 23, 2020. The day Arbery was slain by white men who pursued him in pickup trucks. English says there's no sign Arbery took anything from his property. Cameras recorded others in the house during the same period. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 158 points, the Nasdaq rose 81, the S&P 500 up by 2. More details at srnnews.com.
I'm Tamika Isaac Devine, and I'm running to be your next mayor of the City of Columbia. During my 19 years on City Council, I've always shown up for you, and now I'm asking you to show up for our city. As your next mayor, I will continue to lead on building safer communities, leading us out of the pandemic, and growing our businesses. I am always with you, working for you. We can't afford to sit out this election. The future of Columbia depends on it. This is Tamika Isaac Devine asking for your vote for mayor on November 16th.
Now, who could that be?
It's Dominion Energy. I signed us up for a home energy checkup. It's time we learn how to save energy and money.
Well, how much does it cost?
Not a dime. It's free, and it only takes about an hour. Plus, we get a report on things we can do to make our home more energy efficient.
I don't know. Sounds too good to be true.
No. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Attention listeners, con artists have many tricks for stealing your money, but the AARP Fraud Watch Network is here to help you protect yourself and your family. We give you the tools you need to spot and avoid scams. So listen for the AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts. Use our scam tracking map to see the latest scams and sign up for prevention tips and alerts from law enforcement. To learn how to outsmart con artists before they strike, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-0700. 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044, and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
On that story from the state newspaper on the Chapin running back, Bennett Galloway, as David Bennett Galloway III, better known as Bennett Galloway, committed to NC State. His attorney at a bond hearing today said that Galloway passed a lie detector test when asked about the facts germane to the case. His attorney is Jim May, and the lie detector test was administered by a former FBI agent, May said. And he said that Galloway's never been in trouble before. And people say, he told the judge, people say he's a kid they wish they had. He's a model student, no previous arrests. The mother of the victim did not comment on the case through the advocate, but requested that Galloway be ordered to not contact her daughter or other minors. The victim is 13 years old, according to a deputy who spoke in court. Galloway was at a party with the victim October 2nd when the incident is alleged to have occurred, according to authorities. Witnesses and other evidence corroborated the charge, authorities said. The judge granted Galloway a $45,000 PR bond and ordered Galloway have no contact with the victim and for him to be on house arrest overnight. And I think we've told you the rest. So that's where that is. That is where that is right now. It is time for Chalk Talk here on Sports Talk. I just heard back from Coach Reedy. Coach Reedy is somewhere between Portugal and the Canary Islands. Okay? That's a little beyond my grasp of the hemisphere, Western or Southern, whichever one that is. And so we've tried to, he has texted us, but he doesn't have a phone connection. So he said, bug off.
I understand.
Busy. So we welcome in, flying solo tonight, but he's certainly capable, though I don't know how much offense he knows. Coach Ellis Johnson, it's good to have you with us. No offense, but how much offense do you really know?
Probably have learned too much over the years, unfortunately.
You just like being on the defensive side, huh?
Well, I always give it. I really wanted to coach offense along the way because I think it gives you more paths and opportunities coming along. But once you reach a certain level, you kind of have to get in your niche and try to be the best you can at that. But, like Coach Stalling said, if you understand defense, you have to understand offense. If you understand offense, you're going to have to understand defense. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to stop the other team with defense, or you're not going to be able to move the ball offense.
Of course,
so it's probably,
as a head coach,
it's more about teaching the positions is what separates the knowledge of both sides.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches that understand that, but teaching the positions, the technique, and the finer points, that's where you really get specialized as it goes along.
You, as a head coach, though, of course, you had to have your hands, in on both sides, offense and defense, or you were a head coach that kind of stepped back and let your offensive coordinator just handle everything on the offensive side, but maybe because of your defensive prowess, you worked a little more with the defensive side of things.
The first head coaching job I had was in high school, and I pretty much ran the defense and had an offensive coach. We talked about philosophy and all that. And there we go. The next one was Gardner Webb. Again, I ran the defense and had a coach, in fact, the same coach I worked with at Spartanburg High, that knew what philosophy I liked. He did the offense. And then when I took the Citadel job, I tried to hire coordinators that I didn't have to. And one of them, of course, was Coach Les Herring on the 81 Clemson National Championship, and he certainly was capable. And on the other side, I had John Zernhill, who, was a successful coach at Maryland and South Carolina and some of those places. So I coached the team, and I liked it, and I enjoyed it a lot better that way, and I thought I had a better feel for the team, Phil. But I went to Southern Miss, and I tried to do the same thing. And there were a lot of other factors involved, but I felt very detached and never did really get a feel for our players. We had a lot of issues that caused it, but so I've done it every way. But yes, when I was younger, I ran the defense.
Yeah. I want to ask you one quick question about Southern Miss. I mean, there are a lot of things going on, as you mentioned. You had a lot of injuries. I think your quarterback was hurt or transferred or something or another. But, I mean, to give a guy 1 year, I mean, that's just like totally unfair when it comes to from the standpoint of the coach, unless the coach had done something illegal, which you did not, or immoral, which you did not. They gave you just 1 season there. And have you ever – there can't be many cases like that across the country where a coach has only gotten 1 year to coach a team and then he's, let go.
True. And there's not many situations that were the way that one was. When I was hired by a president, was hired 4 months later, an athletic director who was already going to be terminated and retiring in the summer. And she fired him before I got back for Christmas and put a temporary athletic director in there that had never been in an athletic department in his life. He was a fundraiser, 3-star general, former quarterback. It was just an absolute mess from the very word go. I had a great staff, but they called me in at the end of the year and they wanted me to fire Tommy West, Ricky Bustle, and the coach that people around here may not know is Steve. And I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. It was my assistant head coach and 2 quarterbacks. And I just told them I wasn't doing it. So, $1.3 million later, we parted ways. Other than the fact that I uprooted 6 really good football coaches, moved down there to work on that staff. They didn't get that 1.3. And that was the biggest thing that really, really irritated me. And they've not had any good football program since then. And I don't know what their future is because they got internal issues. When I was down there before Phil, we had Brett Favre and a couple other guys played success in the NFL. We had a blue-collar team. We played with Alabama, Auburn, all of them, nose to nose. Beat Florida State when they were ranked number 1 in preseason. Had some really big-time wins, and it was just so fun and all that. I guess I just saw that as what Southern Miss was, but it's not anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was a tough situation, but still, the buck stops with the head football coach. And we had a terrible season for a lot of different reasons, and I wanted to make it, get it back up. That's what coaches like. They like the challenge of fixing things. But when he asked me to fire those 3 coaches, I told him I wasn't doing it. So they fired me.
Yeah. How do you feel? We've seen this week where, let me think now, we've seen this week where head coaches kind of to save their own bacon, like at Florida, he's fired 2 assistant coaches, his offensive line coach and his defensive coordinator. Yet when you look at their season, the defense has actually statistically improved a great deal over last year. And the offensive line was creating, enough holes to have one of the best running games in the country before the South Carolina game. So he fires those 2. And then I think I saw where Texas fired like 4 assistant coaches. My question is, I mean, how do you feel about head coaches who, under pressure to keep their own jobs, will do that?
Well, the first fact I would say is who hired them. If you hired them, then it's partly your problem. And they did in both those situations. That's who picked those coaches. And they're going to turn around and fire them in 9 months. On the other hand, we don't know what's going on in those programs still. So, I mean, for us to know what was right or wrong, we don't. And the second thing I would say is if they're not getting the job done or they're being, conflict in the staff or the constant, pulling and pushing and not pulling the rope in the same direction, that's fine. Fire them in the middle of the year. I don't like that, but if they're a distraction and they're causing issues, the sooner the better. And I don't know that that's the case. If you're doing it just to kind of save your own butt, then I think it's pretty sorry because, you're the one that picked them or either let them stay. And then when you decide they're not good enough, you're criticizing yourself too. The thing you have to look at with Florida, and I mean, I think this was a great day for South Carolina. I really do. I think it's an absolute feather in the cap of Shane Beamer. But Florida has lost about 4 of the last 6 games. They've beaten one Power 5 team this year, and that's Tennessee. They did beat Vandy, but Vandy had won a game in the conference. This is not a good Florida team, and there's something wrong down there. It's not, if you want to talk X's and O's tonight, we can, but that's not what happened Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem down there, and I was informed about it 2 days before the game, and it was legit. It turned out to be totally legit. So, you know, they're in trouble. They're in a very, very bad trouble. What he did the other day might have been necessary.
I mean, is it like when you say trouble? I mean, were coaches turning on one another? What can you tell us about the trouble? Was it infighting on the staff?
I don't know that. What was said was that they've got a locker room problem. Now, code is that code for players don't want to play with other players, or players don't want to play for coaches. When you lose the locker room, you ain't got much of a chance unless every one of your players are, you know, O.J. Simpson or something. You're not going to win with that kind of locker room.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have those guys anymore. Maybe that's the way they've been winning. I don't know. On the other hand, I want to transition that to Shane Beamer, because the story Saturday was really not South Carolina. It was Auburn. Excuse me, it was Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But South Carolina doesn't do what they did Saturday unless it's obvious that Shane Beamer has had the glue in that locker room, and that staff and those players have every week come out and played with effort. At least what I've seen they have. And they've been beaten badly a couple of times. Like Texas A&M was embarrassing, but they didn't quit. And their effort and their attitudes and the off-field issues, maybe there's been some. I don't keep up with as close as I used to. I don't hear about a bunch of kids being brought up because of rape somebody. I don't hear a bunch of kids down drunk for 5 points getting in fights. I don't hear a whole lot of things about a kid that can't play for 3 weeks because he's cutting classes. But that's a part of this story too. He's done a heck of a job in a tough situation of keeping that football team together. And what you saw Saturday was a football team with a pretty good bit of talent. Some of them are out. I understand that. And they just don't care to play for each other and play for Florida for some reason. There's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side, they may not have all the great talent, but they've got a better roster than people think they do. They're just missing about 6 key places. And they were ready to play. And that's how they got that win. And it wasn't a total shock to me because of what I heard on Thursday.
You hearing anything about Missouri here 2 days before the game?
Yes,
anything
Missouri's just
over there?
They don't have any locker room problems. They don't seem to have any. You know, it's not an issue of everybody pulling together and everybody being on the same page. They just decimated right now on defense.
Mm-hmm.
It happened through attrition, recruiting, graduation, COVID. A lot of things depleted their defensive roster. They didn't have any success with the portal for the most part, and then they've gotten a couple of kids hurt. So defensively, one of my closest friends in the world is on that staff. They're not very good at all. Offensively, they're a pretty good football team. I think Eli is one of the better coaches in the country. I think he's a very good coach. He's more of an offensive guy. I think he's got a little bit of limitation with his quarterback this season, but they can put points up if they can get enough stops. But right now, they can't get enough stops.
Ellis Johnson with us here tonight for Chalk Talk. Chuck Reedy taking the trip to Portugal, so he's off with us tonight. And, Coach, I'm curious, you talked about how Florida maybe wasn't all 100% ready to go against the Gamecocks on Saturday. But the way South Carolina played both defensively and along the offensive line, how much improvement did you see them make from an X's and O's standpoint from the Texas A&M game through the bye week until the Florida game, and maybe what they can carry on into Missouri this weekend?
I really don't think I could really say that there was some great improvement in X's and O's and technique and whatever else. It's what I said earlier. They've been fighting their rear ends off all season. They've been playing football teams that had better players and probably fighting a little bit harder too than Florida did, obviously. But I did not think that what happened was some kind of renaissance in their execution. It was better because Florida was terrible. And I think, though, it's still a compliment to South Carolina because the players and the coaches have not wavered, and they've been pulling the rope. I know they've had some probably tough days over there we don't know about, but, they've come to Saturdays, in my opinion, they played hard. They need to beat Missouri. Missouri is not a good football team this year. It would be win number 6. They'd have a bowl in their back pocket, and they'd be able to play with a lot of confidence against Auburn and Clemson, who will probably be a better football team than they are. But they don't have to beat them 10 times. They just got to beat them once. And I think if they can get this game at Missouri on the road, the one they deserve. I can't say enough about the job that Shane has done. The way he's held that thing together. I mean, this thing was ugly. It was redheaded baby ugly for the first half of the year. But he's stuck together, and he's kept those kids together. He's got them all going in the same direction.
Pat's a redhead.
Who's redheaded over there?
That was Pat's a redhead.
Well, I like redheads, but not guys. I like redheaded women.
So do I. So I'm right there with you.
Okay. Let me ask you about Clemson. They're playing the worst team in the country according to the power rankings and all that in UConn. And, Uiagalelei is dealing with a PCL that he suffered up last week at Louisville and managed to gut it out and score the winning touchdown, et cetera. Would you play him at all against a team as bad as Connecticut, or is that sending a bad message to your team about the approach to the game?
Yeah, I'd strictly base it on his health. If he's able to play, I'd play. They're not a good enough football team right now to start mixing in and out of the lineup. They probably win Saturday either way, but it might hurt them down the stretch. But I don't know his injury. I don't know the status of it. But I think I'd base it totally on his physical status. If there's no more risk of him injuring it worse, and he can function with it, I'd play. If it's a danger that it could be something worse after 30 minutes, if he gets popped on it or something, then I'd be a little bit timid. The problem, they don't have a real good backup, a real big quarterback room with a couple of guys that decided to transfer out. So it's not an easy decision right now, but you got to just base it on the health of the kid.
Yeah. What do you think of Clemson's defense against Louisville in that listen, I think if their quarterback, if Malik Cunningham doesn't get hurt and is out during the middle part of the ball game, I got a real feeling Clemson might have lost that game because they weren't controlling him when he was healthy and out there running around.
Now, I was worried about this game before they went up there. I think Louisville really was about as good a football team as Clemson was, and had a chance to be at home and win. But you can't give enough credit to Brent and their defensive staff and their players. I mean, they've been beat up, Phil. And early in the season now, the crowd they put out there against Georgia, they went toe-to-toe with Georgia for 60 minutes. And Clemson's offense couldn't convert down in the red zone, or that game would have been really close all the way to the end. But then they lose. Is it Bresee or Bresee? They lose him.
Mm-hmm.
They lose their other defensive tackle a week or two later, or 3 weeks, and now he's back. But I think he's having to play with a shoulder harness on. I mean, it's hard to do that and play at a level that you were. And they're just not healthy on defense, and they've had to carry all the load. They're starting to get a little bit better on offense, and they really came through a couple of critical times against Louisville, which is a very positive sign, because there were times where their defense didn't have control of the game. But they made enough good drives on offense. They were able to do some things there late in the game on both sides of the ball that were critical. And that's to me, is another compliment to the head coach and the coaches. Keeping those players. This has not been a easy road for a Clemson team who's been used to winning 11 and 12 every year and going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
because they're not going this year. But that's a tough situation right now, and they've come out and played hard too. And I think that kind of showed up at Louisville.
All right. So is this a redheaded weekend for you, or a brunette, or a blonde? What's on the agenda?
Right now, Phil, I just need a driver. I'm going down to Citadel game, but I just need a driver.
You can't drive yourself?
Yeah, I can, but, it's a lot better when you got a driver.
Read the room, Phil. Read the room.
I got you. I know what you're saying. Okay. Well, good luck to the Citadel. They're kind of struggling. What do you think's going to happen there?
Yeah, they are.
What do you think's going to happen?
I don't know. Wofford has not won a conference game, and, I mean, that's been a great program up there for 15, 20 years. They've not won a conference game, and the Citadel has won one.
Yeah.
And so it will still be a tough game. It's been frustrating. It's been a very up and down year. I think I've seen 4 games and tried to follow them pretty closely. But slow at the beginning of the year, picked up mid-season, really doing some good things. And then they came out, and Western Carolina came in without a win and beat them pretty convincingly. And then it's been tough since then. So I hope they can turn it around. But Wofford has not won a conference game, but that's not a team that Citadel can take lightly at all.
Yeah, I think Wofford's lost 7 or 8 in a row. I mean, both of these teams are just playing out the season. Listen, we thank you very much. Chuck should be back, rested and tanned from being down there in the Canary Islands in Portugal. So, you know, I know you're jealous of his travels, but he'll be back next week.
Send me his half. Send me his half of the paycheck for this show. So I get both checks.
Who pays you more, us or Teddy Hefner?
Probably Teddy, but see, the problem I got with Teddy keeps putting these ED commercials on during my segment. And I don't know if it's because my listening audience is in that age group or if he's trying to give me a hint, but I've asked him several times to please get those things off of there. I'm supposed to be sponsored by Bernie's Chicken. And it keeps having those commercials.
Well, I mean, he's got a funeral home as a sponsor, too. He could be running that during your segment, too, you know.
Well, I'd stick with the ED before I go to the funeral.
All right, sir. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week if we're not banned by the FCC. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.
Always fun, guys.
Same here. We got to do the break or no? We are? Okay, let's go to the break. We'll be right back.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
Thanks to Ellis Johnson for handling the duties tonight on Chalk Talk. He was excellent as always. I hope you get Ellis's sense of humor, his dry wit there, and I don't want to hear from any redheaded babies or parents of redheaded children about. He's talking about his own personal life there. So anyway, some interesting stuff. So he'd gotten some words. That's the thing about Ellis. He's so well connected.
Right, yeah.
So many different programs and coaches and stuff, and they'll share stuff with him to give him some insights. So he kind of had a feeling going in that something was up with the Gators, and South Carolina just compounded their issues by playing their best game of the season, probably, and taking Florida out of so many things that they were trying to do. So,
but isn't it fascinating?
South Carolina not to play down to that level.
But isn't it fascinating, Phil? We could probably run through 15 college coaches, former coaches, and the like, and every single one of them would have answered the question you asked Ellis about DJ the same way Dabo Swinney is approaching it. If he's healthy, we play him. He's our starting quarterback. It doesn't matter on the other side. Yeah. Coaches look at football, basketball, baseball, whatever the game and sport is. They look at it so differently than we do in the media and from a fan's perspective. It fascinates me.
Well, I mean, look, if you boil it down, the players are commodities to the coaches. They're commodities. They're pieces to the puzzle to help them win games. And the coaches are about winning, which is good for them, and it's good for the players, and it's good for the fans. They want to win. And unlike us, because we can sit back and second guess or first guess and draw conclusions that probably have no basis in fact, their job is to win the next game, whether it's against Notre Dame or the Little Sisters of the Poor. And if your best quarterback's healthy and cleared by the doctors, they don't think about next week. There might not be a next week. They think about today. So that's what they're doing. Top of the hour break. We'll be back. Morgan on the Move is coming up.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here,
Thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. In Europe, it's known as Armistice Day. Here in the U.S., we refer to it as Veterans Day, and many across the country stop to pause and reflect. Military affairs analyst retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis says veterans remain active in these days of relative peace.
In this nation of, 330 million or so, there aren't that many. There's a little over a million, almost a little less than 2 million, actually, that are under arms, both in the Guard, Reserve, and the active forces. And they constantly are moving about, defending our interests.
McGinnis spoke with the Salem Radio Network. Jurors in the trial of 3 white men charged in Ahmaud Arbery's killing watched security camera videos Thursday that show other people entering a home under construction in the months before the 25-year-old black man was chased and gunned down after running from the site. Homeowner Larry English describes to a 911 operator a trespasser he's spotted on the property he owns, then is asked questions about the call by prosecutor Paul Camarillo.
He's a colored guy, got real curly looking hair, he's tattooed down both arms.
You recognize that voice?
Yes.
Okay. And you recognize this as one of the times that you called 911?
Yes, I believe that's the first time.
That audio courtesy Court TV. They saw 2 white boys with bicycles walk into the doorless garage to drag away plywood. Jurors also watched the clip of a white man and a woman strolling into the home at night, the man carrying a small bag in one hand. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 158 points, the NASDAQ rose 81, the S&P advanced 2. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Your pets have the same energy they used to? Do they have problems with itching, scratching, a dull coat, or goopy ears? Then your pets need Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
For over 20 years, pet owners have trusted Dinovite to supplement their pet's diet.
We started Dinovite, and in our first box, we noticed a difference.
Dinovite is an all-natural daily supplement made from whole foods that help support your pet's immune system, digestion, skin, and coat.
Within 3 weeks, he's not scratching and itching, and he's an all-around happier dog.
Today's commercial pet foods are processed at high temperatures, which bakes out all the essential goodness. These processed foods can lack the essential vitamins, enzymes, and probiotics that contribute to overall good health. Adding a scoop of Dinovite to your pet's food bowl is the answer.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you'll want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives. I have 2 cats and 2 dogs. All 4 of them are on the Dinovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Armistice remembrances around the world have returned to some sense of normalcy after the COVID-19 pandemic last year wiped out ceremonies to mark the end of World War I. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
How are you?
Very nice. When I first arrived in Paris, my first stop.
Vice President Kamala Harris meets French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris prior to a moving tribute to how both nations had stood together to force a retreating Germany into surrender on November 11 at 11 a.m. 1918. Harris had met with Macron at the Élysée Presidential Palace on Wednesday evening, where they agreed their countries are ready to work together again. The vice president's trip comes as part of a weeks-long effort by Washington to mend relations with Paris. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
News and analysis available at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
Are you worn out from wall-to-wall political talk? Instead of hearing more about the stuff in Washington that's mostly out of your control, I'll give you the tools to actually take control of your money and your life. Dave Ramsey here. Join me right here on The Point. I'm live and taking your calls weekdays at 2 p.m. I'll teach you how to get on a written plan that actually works, get out of debt, and build wealth. Weekdays at 2 p.m. The Dave Ramsey Show at 100.7 The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Oh, you pressed the wrong button. Oh, residual.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network on this big Thursday night here in South Carolina. One basketball game in the state just getting underway. South Carolina State at the College of Charleston. This opener for the Cougars. State's off to an 0-1 start after losing their opener the other night. I think it was a pretty tight game that they lost. Couple of notes from out Missouri way as they put the wraps on their practice today and put out some information on the health of their team. So the quarterback, Connor Bazelak, remains questionable. They're calling him questionable going into the South Carolina game with that soft tissue issue. Also questionable, the right tackle, Hiron White, and a defensive tackle, McGee Wingo, out. Cornerback Ish Burdine, safety Sean Robinson, and defensive end Johnny Walker. So you just heard Ellis Johnson talking about some of the injury issues at Missouri, and there you go. Proof of that, as they've got some players out for the game against South Carolina. All right, with that being said, it is now time for another edition of Morgan on the Move, the most exciting 12 minutes in radio every week here on Sports Talk, starring the one and only, no longer single, Mike Morgan. And Mike is brought to you by Stuart Wingo, and the time to call Stuart Wingo is right now with incredible low rates on a new mortgage or refi. You can save thousands by calling Stuart directly at 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. Tell him you heard about it on Sports Talk, and he'll cut his commission by 99%. No, I just threw that in there. I'm not sure that he wants to get paid.
We'll buy that person dinner.
Say what? Say hello, Mikey.
Hello. Yes.
Okay.
Welcome.
We hear background noise.
Well, that's because I'm surrounded by rowdy Kentucky Wildcat fans. They're not that rowdy. This is actually a nice restaurant bar area. Trying to find the most quiet quarter. The things I do for this segment on your show, I tell you.
Pretty slight. It's pretty slight.
But
it's Kentucky.
Let me.
I get it because they've lost 3 in a row in football. So they're like North Carolina fans. They've forgotten about the football team. It's now basketball. It's all on basketball up there.
Well, I think you're selling that fan base a little short. They're very passionate about football, and they're still excited about the program. Mm-hmm. Under Mark Stoops, and they'll get what I call a get right game against Vanderbilt on Saturday. So the next time we're talking, it won't be a losing streak that we're talking about in all likelihood. But yeah, they certainly hit some harder times. I think that what they thought was going to be a really explosive passing attack with Levis and Wandale Robinson started off that way, but since the Florida game, it's really cooled off.
Speaking of Florida being cooled off, what about the way the Gamecocks handled them last weekend?
Yeah, I think it's a program-changing win for Shane. I'm happy for him, and for Gamecock Nation. Gosh knows, the last couple of years, it's been a hard pill to swallow. But that's why you don't give up on your program. That's why you keep going to the games, watching the games, and that's one of the reasons why you should be happy that Shane Beamer's your coach. I think his positivity was something you really needed during this time because this was a brutal stretch. I think most people knew. The issue was never that they didn't have any talent. Yeah, surely they've got some talented players, but they also have some deficiencies. And in a league like the SEC, when you have holes, they're exposed. Mm-hmm. It's not like basketball where you can just throw some guy out there who can't shoot a lick, but he rebounds, he hustles, he plays D. So the other 4 guys just pick up the slack and win games for you. When you've got holes on O-line, linebacker, secondary, receiver, that just gets exposed. And so you're fighting, you're kind of behind the eight ball all season long from that standpoint. But it all finally came together. And when they had a chance to finally let out those frustrations, they pounced all over a Florida team that clearly is reeling right now. So I thought it was huge for them.
Well, the Gamecocks go in as a point favorite at Missouri. It's been a tight series, 6-5 for the Mayor's Cup, or the Mayor's Trophy, whatever they call it. 6-5, Missouri's won 6 of the first 11. So, and they've won the last 2. But the Gamecocks are a point favorite. They should be going in with a lot of confidence. I think a key here, Mike, is going to be if Bezelak is able to play and play effectively, because Missouri's offense is good. Beatty's an excellent running back and receiver. They can do some good things on offense. Their defense is a mess. I would imagine the Gamecocks would try and just line up and run the football right down them if they can.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I was just thinking, I've had this matchup the last 2 years. I had it 2 years ago. We had that crazy play. Remember was it a forward pass? Was it not? Was it that really changed the complexion of that game. But, Missouri's been a disappointment this year. Connor Bazelak, even when healthy, has not played particularly well. They just don't have a whole lot of weapons. Like Beatty's a good running back, but I don't know who else on that offense really scares you. I'm sure Carolina is thinking the same thing defensively. I mean, if you can do what they did to Florida last week, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have some success on that side of the football this week. And then offensively, maybe they found lightning in a bottle with a quarterback that makes just enough plays to win and to give that offense some confidence.
Mike Morgan on the move here on this Thursday on Sports Talk. And Mike, sticking with the college football theme for a moment, the latest CFP rankings came out on Tuesday, and I was talking about it yesterday with the lack of Cincinnati still being inside the top 4. In your mind, twofold. First off, does the G5 have any legitimate claim to get into the postseason? And if not this year, will it ever happen without expansion?
Let me take that second one first. If it doesn't happen this year, I don't think it does happen. I don't think you're going to find a G5 program that had the hype coming in of Cincinnati, that still is undefeated, although it hasn't been pretty every week, and that has a big-time win on the road at Notre Dame. So if it doesn't happen this year, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Of course, I think it might be a moot point because expansion's coming sooner rather than later, I still believe, and I still believe it's going to be 12, despite the fact that a couple of conference commissioners don't want that. Money will talk, money will prevail, and we'll have a 12-team playoff. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen while we have 4, and I don't think Cincinnati, barring a lot of craziness here in the final couple of weeks, I don't think Cincinnati finds its way in. I think most people look at Cincinnati as a great story, but not a great team. And that's going to be the difference maker that keeps him on the outside looking in.
And your career has turned into sort of a Swiss Army knife of broadcasting. You're doing basketball tomorrow night. You've also done college football, college baseball, we know, and you've also added the NFL to your repertoire. Obviously, play-by-play it's the same regardless of the sport. Though, when you get ready for an NFL game, how different is your prep as opposed to, saying, getting ready for South Carolina, Missouri?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think I just found out I have Georgia the week after that. Well, I assume we'll still be ranked number 1 in the country. But, for one thing, obviously I don't have to tell you that the difference between radio and TV is immense. And I've always loved, I cut my teeth calling football on radio. So I still like to flex that muscle when I can, and had a blast calling the Bucs Saints game a couple weeks ago. But the preparation, it's fairly the same except for this. There's fewer guys to worry about. I mean, the NFL doesn't have duplicate numbers. You don't have 100-man rosters. You have 46-man rosters. And very rarely do you go past the second man on the 2-deep chart. So as I look at the chart, which, by the way, last week, guys, 2 weeks ago, I had the Bucs. Here's a little trivia question for you. The only NFL team to have a Carolina and Clemson kicker-punter combination, Pinion and Suckup for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
How about that? Little Clemson-Carolina connection. And in this game, you've got Williams, the Chargers wideout, and you've got a couple of prominent Gamecock players, including DJ Wanham on the other side of the football, starting at defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. And I just forgot the other South Carolina Gamecock on offense for the Chargers for Los Angeles. So they've got both a Gamecock and a Clemson Tiger starting. So it's actually also a member of the Citadel is one of their wide receivers. So I still keep up with those Palmetto State connections, and there'll be a few of them to follow with the Chargers.
Before we let you go, you're also getting into the meat of basketball now. Like you mentioned, you're at Kentucky. Robert Morris. Kentucky opened up with a win up at Madison Square Garden the other night. Great doubleheader up there at MSG with those premier teams. And it looks like, or at least, first blush, Kentucky is sort of flushed its issues of last year. He's compiled another talented group, and they're going to be a national factor once again.
Yeah, I think last year was the year to beat up on Kentucky, right? It was their worst season since the Depression. Let that sink in for a moment. Since literally the Depression. They won 9 games. That's just not going to happen again. It was not a good combination of players. And as you know, Phil, as well as anybody, 5-star players are not all the same. One 5-star player, one top 5 rated recruiting class is not as good as the next one. And there were a lot of disappointing players in that recruiting class a year ago, and it just never got off the ground. This year, I like their class. I like their transfers out of the portal. I think they're really good. I think I had Alabama the other night. I think Alabama, Kentucky might be the 2 best teams in this league to start. Now that opinion can change 5 times between now and say February, but for right now, in terms of looking at the rosters and who everybody has, I would, if you asked me to pick 2 teams in this league, it'd be Kentucky and Alabama.
All right, Mike, enjoy your busy weekend. We'll be listening, we'll be watching, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, guys, have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Mike Morgan in Kentucky, of course. He's probably got a local bourbon in his hand. Who wouldn't? Probably a Woodford. He probably stopped in Woodford County on his way up there to get himself a little Woodford Reserve. Wouldn't you do the same thing, Mr. Bergen?
Hey, win in Rome, right?
Win in Rome.
By the way, a quick update from Shane Beamer at his coaches show tonight, announcing that DJ Wanham, Jalen Dickerson, Luke Doty all obviously have been injured, and they are out for the year. And Rick Sandage also had surgery today. He'll be done for the season as well.
There you go. That would be 4 starters. 4 starters. And, Wanham, big miss there on the right side of the offensive line, though Wanamaker's done a good job stepping in his place, doing the best he can. Big difference in size there, I think, if you look at him. Interesting to see what Wanham decides to do with his career, if he decides to come back or go ahead and hit the pros, if he's going to be drafted, which I feel like he certainly will. Dickerson, boy, you hate it for him. That young man, he just has never, ever, ever been healthy in South Carolina. It's been one thing after another for him in his career. So, and Sandage, hurt all year, coming off a poor year last year. He was looking at this year as a rebound year, maybe next year. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping, the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at futurescholar.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
In Irmo, call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Here on Sports Talk on this big Thursday night. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel all together. Got recruiting coming up for you. Also, some comments from Jamie Chadwell, head football coach at Coastal Carolina, and some comments from USC quarterback Jason Brown coming up in just a little bit. But right now, we're going to talk a little high school football and a little Farm Bureau insurance because we love Farm Bureau. We love the fact that Buddy Bridges and Alex Satterfield have been part of Sports Talk's coverage this year of baseball and now moving forward, part of us for other things in the months to come. And, Chris, I'm going to let you lead into our segment here with Buddy as he joins us from
longtime friend of mine.
Area. Yeah.
Absolutely. A longtime friend, the voice of the Clinton Red Devils, sneaky good team in Class 3A. Don't sleep on Clinton this year as we welcome Buddy into Sports Talk. Buddy, good evening. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing great, Chris. Glad to be here with you and Phil.
Well, Phil last Friday bragged about how tremendous a job he did filling in for me speaking at the Lawrence County Touchdown Club. You were on the ground, so give us a scouting report. How did Phil do last week?
I still hear the applause ringing in my ears.
He did well. He went so long, 1:30 hour, but that's okay, Chris. He did a tremendous job in place of you.
Buddy, I could have gone longer.
No, you did great. Josh, I told you, your partner there, one time I was his partner and he couldn't come, and we're just glad that you were able to be with us. You did a great job.
Well, thank you. It was my
How about
pleasure.
that glowing praise? Speaking of glowing praise, tell us about the guys you get to watch every Friday. Looks like a resurgence going on with Clinton High School football.
Oh, Chris, let me tell you, the town is abuzz, and Coach Corey Fountain and that staff, what he's done here in his third year, it's as passionate as you remember in 2009 when you were with us with the broadcast crew, and he has really turned this town upside down, and the Red Devils are playing so well, and it's like yesteryear in a lot of ways, my friend.
You told a great story. Actually, Phil was on with Buddy. They do a Saturday morning coaches show every week, and I was on there a couple of weeks back, and you told a great story. You and Gene Simmons, who helps you out, told a great story about Keith Richardson and the first time he met Corey Fountain after he took the job leaving Lamar. If you don't mind relaying that story, I think folks will get an idea as just how important high school football is to the city of Clinton.
Oh, yes. Coach Richardson, what he means, our legendary coach, Coach Andy B. Young as well. But on that particular day, I was fortunate to get to be at the opening press conference and actually got to hear Coach Fountain's initial address with the team. But, Coach Richardson there handed him the novel written by Monty Dutton, The Pride of Clinton, and handed it to him. And it was just a moment that you knew what was being passed like a torch. And Coach Fountain has just respected the traditions of Red Devil football. He's embraced it, and he's truly building on it.
Buddy Bridges, Farm Bureau Insurance, and the voice of Clinton High School football with us for a few more moments here tonight. All right, Lower Richland, tomorrow night on the road. What do you know about the Diamond Hornets?
Diamond Hornets are big. They're fast. They're athletic, number 1 seed out of Region 4. Coach Fountain will tell you, you take it 1 week at a time. That's what the Red Devils are doing. But they big, like I said, athletes. They have playmakers. But you know what? The Red Devils do too. I mentioned Coach Young briefly. Our other legendary coach, he told me at the beginning of the year, he said, this is the fastest Clinton team that I've seen in a long time. And it really is built on that speed. should be a great matchup. Respect Lower Richland, what they go bring. 0-3-1 all time. Red Devils played Lower Richland 4 times, never beaten Lower Richland.
Wow.
But we hoping to go down there Friday night and look for a good effort from our Red Devils.
Does that go back to the Mooney player days? That 0-3-1?
In the 60s, they played in 66. Red Devils lost by 2, tied in 67. 68 Devils lost, 69 Devils lost. And then you wrap that 69s when Coach Richardson came to Clinton. And, boy, that changed a lot for Clinton. And a lot, Chris, to tell you, there's a lot of tradition, a lot of pride. They don't call Clinton football the pride of Clinton for nothing.
They have not played in 52 years? That's almost remarkable and hard to believe.
Well, I don't know how it's matched up with the conferences and the way the high school leagues. I know the whole time you and I were together in the broadcast years, I don't ever remember going or playing Lower Richland. But Mooney player, you know, back in those days, hey, 2 proud high school traditions, Lower Richland and the Red Devils.
Buddy, I know you don't want to look ahead, but obviously I think the 3A Upper State runs through Daniel. And Daniel, should they get past Woodruff, they would face the winner of Clinton and Lower Richland. How good a game is the Daniel-Woodruff game going to be tomorrow night? And if Clinton's fortunate enough to get through Lower Richland and have to go to Daniel, how much will that conjure up some thoughts of 2009?
Well, a lot of thoughts of 2009. I was right by your side during those days. But I tell you, Coach Fountain, like I said, he does not let those guys think ahead. You've asked me, so I'm going to do it. And we know how good Daniel is. The Red Devils have played some great teams. The Upstate this year has excellent quarterbacks. You mentioned Daniel and Woodruff. Carson Tucker, a great quarterback. And I don't know what Woodruff can do with Daniel, but I tell you what, Woodruff will throw it. We know how good Daniel is. I'll tell you, all these remaining 8 teams in 3A, they some talent in the top of this upstate bracket.
Of the 2 upper state, or the upper half of the bracket in the upper state, which one's going to be the better game in your mind, Powersville Wren or Chapman Chester?
I think Powdersville Wren is probably very much evenly matched, that game at Powdersville. But I think any of these 8 can advance. I think Daniel, like you said, is considered the favorite, but that's why they play them. You know, the Red Devils in 09, they were 4 seed, 5 straight trips on the road. Anything can happen in high school football, but I tell you what, it's going to be some scoreboard watching, some radio listening for all these games Friday night. It's getting down to the nitty gritty.
All right, buddy, before we let you run, you actually do have another full-time job, and you guys have been kind enough to partner with us here on Sports Talk, telling our listeners about the wonderful products that Farm Bureau Insurance offers. So we'll give you a chance to give us your spiel here for a couple of minutes about what you guys do with Farm Bureau.
Yeah, Farm Bureau, South Carolina Farm Bureau, Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. You know, like my commercial says, there's 2 things everyone knows I'm passionate about. That's my Red Devils and selling that life insurance for Farm Bureau. The membership advantage, when you have a membership with Farm Bureau, we guarantee you we can help you with any insurance you would ever need. The service, we have our own adjusters, and our new slogan is Friends for Life, and that's totally what we are, in my opinion. Chris, you one of my customers, and the most important product in insurance you will ever buy is that life insurance protection, and we're just glad at Farm Bureau to be able to offer a quality product to the state of South Carolina.
Well, buddy, we appreciate the time tonight, and obviously I'll lean a little bit. Shouldn't do this on Sports Talk, but it's kind of hard not to say go Big Red as the Red Devils take on Lower Richland tomorrow night, and we appreciate you jumping on board with us here this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Phil, for coming up to the Touchdown Club, Chris. I'll tell you what, look forward to you coming back this way some more. And like you said, go Big Red.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. And listen, I said this on the air last Friday. I'll say it again. That's a wonderful Touchdown Club you guys have, honoring those kids and those teams. That's a fantastic thing that you guys do. You give back to the community in so many ways with that, and we salute what you and the other Touchdown clubs around the state that are still active, what they do in their communities. We think it's fantastic.
Yeah, Gene Simmons, Coach Harold Nichols, the entire board of directors, Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Phil, and you did a great job. And I'm telling you, that Touchdown Club, Lawrence Raiders, they're very good as well. So they in the playoffs, and we'll look to celebrate again next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chris, you ever seen that tongue on Gene Simmons? Pretty amazing.
That's a good. It's not the same Gene Simmons. No, it's not. But I would say this: that Gene Simmons would probably take the other Gene Simmons of Kiss fame to the woodshed on the tennis court.
That's what I hear. I hear he's quite the racket. Okay, we will be back. More sports talk coming up. Don't go away.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Won't cool down much this evening. Low dipping to just 59. Tomorrow, morning clouds clear out. A gorgeous Friday afternoon. Look for sunshine. 75 is our high. For the weekend, we'll have sunny skies. A high of 69 for Saturday. Cooler on Sunday with sunshine at 62 the high. Chilly weekend nights coming your way. Bundle up. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hey, Tiger fans, it's not too late to purchase your Clemson football tickets. Lock in your seat for one of our remaining home games by visiting ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets. That's your one-stop shop for tickets, schedule, and game day designations. Be sure and act now as tickets are going fast. So come back home to Clemson, and we'll see you in Death Valley cheering on our Tigers. That's ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. The last 3 school districts in Florida that required at least some students to wear masks are dropping their mandates for school facial coverings. Starting Friday, grade school students in Miami-Dade schools can opt out of wearing a mask if they have their parents' permission. Masks already have been optional for high school and some middle school students. In neighboring Broward County, all students can go maskless starting the week after next. No opt-out form from parents is required, though the school district is strongly encouraging students to wear facial coverings. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 158 points. The Nasdaq rose 81. The S&P 500 advanced 2. Oil down 17 cents to 81.17 a barrel. SRN News.
I'm Tamika Isaac Devine, and I'm running to be your next mayor of the City of Columbia. During my 19 years on City Council, I've always shown up for you, and now I'm asking you to show up for our city. As your next mayor, I will continue to lead on building safer communities, leading us out of the pandemic, and growing our businesses. I am always with you, working for you. We can't afford to sit out this election. The future of Columbia depends on it. This is Tamika Isaac Devine, asking for your vote for mayor on November 16th.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
The AARP Fraud Watch Network can help you keep yourself and your family safe. To learn more, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork for news and tips on how to spot common scams and to learn about and report scams in your area.
Kevin Cohen here with Tim Hanberry from Medicare Blueprint. So, Tim, it is open enrollment now for Medicare. How does that impact our listeners at the point?
Well, Kevin, now's the time for you to review your Medicare Advantage plan because they can and do change each year. You'll need to make sure that your prescriptions are still covered and at what cost. So what should you do? First, give us a call. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll find out what your prescriptions are and what doctors you see. Then we'll find the best plan for you. We'll do all the work for you. We'll even make sure to show you all the additional benefits you're entitled to.
Yeah, listen, I called Tim and his team, and it's just like he says. We've cut our healthcare costs considerably. So don't waste time. Don't waste this opportunity during open enrollment. Give Tim a call at Medicare Blueprint, 803-708-7405, or find him online at MedicareBlueprint.com. That's 708-7405 or MedicareBlueprint.com.
Deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear Blaze Orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to your lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent The life you might save just might be your own.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
All right, we got college football tonight in the ACC. Should be a good ball game. Pitt and North Carolina. One team competing for the Coastal Championship. The other team a big disappointment when you think about North Carolina, kind of season they've had, considering the expectations going in. So you got that game going on tonight. You've got the NFL game tonight as well. Not particularly a great matchup. It's Baltimore down at Miami, I think. So that's what we got.
Get to watch Lamar Jackson, though. I mean, you get to watch Lamar Jackson, who's probably worth the price of at least flipping it on. And who do you like tonight? I mean, which North Carolina team is going to show up? The one that scored 50-plus points last week to beat Wake Forest, or the one that we saw earlier in the season can't get out of its own way?
Yeah, really. Well, I tell you what. I mean, they saw a really good quarterback in Hartman last week, and he ate their lunch. They're seeing a great quarterback tonight. Pickett,
yeah, they are
liable to throw for 500 yards in that ball.
But Sam Howell may too.
Well, he's become more of a runner, though. You know, he didn't throw for that much against Wake Forest, but he did run for over 100 yards. So, and Pitt's better defensively, I think. I think Pitt's better defensively than Wake Forest, if you ask me. We've got Coastal Carolina back at home. Looks like the weather's going to be nice, but you won't be there. You'll be doing women's basketball.
I will be. I'll be over in Orangeburg.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've got the Chanticleers in SC State on Saturday night. But going for their 13th straight victory at home is Coastal. And the reason I chuckled, in case folks wondering why I was laughing when you were talking about Jamie Chadwell in the box, there was a report on ESPN, and for whatever reason they kept calling him Jeremy Chadwell. So Coastal hasn't quite gotten to the level that they want to yet, when they're still messing up the head coach's name on ESPN.com.
Not only was it ESPN, but it was Chris Lowe, who, of course, is a friend and we respect highly. And, these things happen. You just have a brain cramp and there's nobody looking over your shoulder to correct.
Exactly. And that's the bigger problem, I think, Phil. I think from a newspaper website outlet deal, the loss of copy editors, where somebody goes behind you and says, whoa, that doesn't sound right. Look that back up. Oh, yeah, I made a mistake. I put an E in there where it wasn't supposed to, and that type of thing. So you're right. It does happen. I just thought it was kind of funny last evening that they were calling him Jeremy. But anyway, it's homecoming at Coastal this weekend as they get Georgia State. Really good defense. And as I posted up on our website, you can hear the entire press conference with Jamie. We're going to play a little bit of it here. But will he or will he not play? And that's the biggest question. Grayson McCall, who did not play in the win over Georgia Southern last weekend, sitting out with an upper body injury. Question is, does he start on Saturday, or do they go with senior Bryce Carpenter, who played awfully well in the 28-8 win over the Eagles last Saturday? Well, Jamie Chadwell will answer that question for you somewhat. Here's what he had to say yesterday.
Homecoming, obviously a huge opportunity for us. We won 12 in a row here. Never beat Georgia State at our place, so that's a big deal for us, and another chance to play in front of our home crowd. I hope our community and our fans, our students show up early and are loud. This is a tough opponent coming in here. One that if you look at their schedule, they're within 20 points of being 7-2 or 6-3 at worst. Played some tough schedule and have opportunities to win some games. So we know they're a talented team coming in here on all three phases. And then also, I'll say this, I know a lot of stuff broke last night on ESPN. Nobody sort of put that full quote in there. I said that I want to make sure you guys understand this. There's potential. Grayson couldn't play again. There's also potential he can. When you go through an injury, one is it requires surgery. This injury does not require surgery. Then the second question to that is if he plays again, will it hurt him long term? If that's the answer is yes, then he won't play anymore this season. If the answer is no, through my doctors and trainers, then it comes down to a rehab or recovery, and then how much pain can he play with. If the pain is to a point where he can manage it and it doesn't affect him, then he'll have an opportunity to return and play. If the pain is such that it affects him playing to his best ability, then he won't play until that pain subsides. So I don't know why that got out there. Nobody puts the full quote in there, but that's the basis of what we're deciding. Could it be 3 more weeks? Yeah, it could be. Could it be less than that? Sure. Right now, we're working through all those things, but there's nothing from an injury that requires surgery. Then it's going to be, the next question is, if he plays again, will it injure him long term? But that answer is no. Then it goes into the how much pain can he handle and recovery and all those different things. So everybody's aware of that. I'm sure you're going to ask me. So get that out of the way. Second thing is, good to see Brandon Dunn up and about. I'm glad he's doing well. And then we saw where, Candace had an accident there. Praying for her speedy recovery and that she can get back to as well. So I don't know what it is with our media. We're struggling this year from a health standpoint. I'm glad y'all are doing better. I hope everybody is doing better, and we'll open it up to questions from there.
Yeah, you mentioned it was homecoming for us. Ian Brigham would like to know. It's also homecoming for Granger, who played at Conroe High School. What are the thoughts on the possibility of him putting on a big game back in his hometown, and how do you slow him down specifically and force him to make mistakes?
Well, I'm sure he's excited about playing here, and I'm sure he'll have good fans and friends and family here. So, we've got to do a good job. He's not their only player. They've got a lot of good ones, and so we have to do our best job of trying to put him in situations that he's not comfortable. If you look at the games they've done really well, he's been able to run and throw. If you look at games they've struggled with, he's struggled to throw the ball consistently, and that's because they put him in some 3rd and long situations and some of those things. So we got to do a good job of that. If they're second and whatever, if they're second down and short and all the game, and 3rd and short all game, that's going to be tough because they can really open up that playbook. So I think first down is going to be our key in, as far as if we can win first down and try to put him in some situations where they can't just, try to run it down our throat consistently.
Next question from Gabe McDonald. How refreshing was it to see the defense force a lot of turnovers last week, especially given the conditions of the game?
Oh, it was huge, Gabe. I mean, that was the difference in the football game when you're playing any game, but when you're playing in conditions of that nature that are tough to compete in, tough to throw in, just a downpour that didn't stop. It was good to get some turnovers short in the field and to see our defense do that. We've not had as many this year as we've had in the past, for whatever reason. But it was good to get those because they were needed during that time frame, and it helped us win the game.
Coach, we've got a little bit of a home game winning streak. We've won 12 in a row entering this weekend. The school record is 13. Have you brought that up to the guys at all, or is it something that you guys can look at going into this homecoming weekend when a lot of former players will be back on campus?
You know what? Didn't even know it. Hadn't even looked it up. So that's whoever came up with that. Thank you. I might use it now.
You're welcome, sir. Also, any updates in terms of other injuries front? Jeff Gunter obviously left the game last week. Reese White missing last week. Any other updates in the injury?
Reese is still out from that standpoint. He's getting better, but he'll still be out. And then Jeff's going to be a day-to-day. I think it's going to depend on just the rehab and how he can function with his injury there, and we'll probably know something by Thursday if he can play, and if he can, how much. I think he can play. It's just how effective will he be if he's not completely healthy. So that's going to be our our deciding factor. But he's moving around solid now, so we're hoping, we feel solid about it. We'll just have to see how the rest of the the next couple of days go from a rehab recovery standpoint, and see how explosive he is, come Friday.
All right, Jamie Chadwell from his presser earlier in the week. So they move forward without Grayson McCall. Hate to hear that because, the guy was lining up for a number of possible awards at the end of the season. Now he won't be able to add to his great numbers and all that, not to mention the fact that he's the coach is a better team when he's in there quarterback. And so they're going to eventually run into some competition. Maybe this weekend it'll make it kind of tough on them. After the break, we'll give you recruiting, and we'll hear from the new Gamecock quarterback, Jason Brown, here on Sports Talk.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Hunting season is upon us. Major Downer, how do we stay safe?
Smitty, that's a great question. Mistaken for game is a leading cause of hunting accidents each year. So this year, DNR is encouraging everyone to wear hunter orange and use a flashlight when traveling to and from your hunting location in low light. Remember, be safe, be seen.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
All South Carolinians aged 5 years and older are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110 to find a vaccine location near you.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Before we get to recruiting, correction on the information that had been reported on the Gamecock injuries, Chris?
Yes, actually, Gamecock Central clarifying Wanham, Sandage, Doty, and Dickerson are all out for the remainder of the year, according to head coach Shane Beamer, but it was Dickerson, not Rick Sandage, that had surgery today.
So no surgery for Sandage.
No.
Just the back injury is going to keep him out for the rest of the season.
Correct.
All right. It is time for recruiting tonight, right here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. You know what today was? Today was
Roast Beef Thursday.
Yeah, they moved it up a day. Roast Beef Friday just sounds better than Roast Beef Thursday. But that's okay.
Roast beef any day sounds better.
True that. Hope you got out there and had a chance to enjoy. What do they have tomorrow on the buffet line there, Pat?
Tomorrow they will have fried pork chops, southern fried chicken, and then this is a new one. At least I don't remember fettuccine chicken fettuccine Alfredo, which is always a good option.
Interesting.
Pushing the chefs to the max out there at Seawells, going from pork chops to fried chicken to Alfredo. What?
Now everything else about this is fried. Chicken fettuccine Alfredo. I'm wondering if they're going to actually grill that chicken or just throw the fried chicken in there too.
I'd probably grill it. Fried chicken with Alfredo, I don't think goes well, if you ask my humble opinion. So get out for the luncheon buffet tomorrow. It's 11 to 2. It's every day 11 to 2 at Seawells, 1125 Rosewood Drive. And, of course, you need the very best in the catering business. They've been doing that for more than 70 years. Let them take care of all the heavy lifting when it comes to putting that special event together for you at your place or at theirs. Their phone number is 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. In recruiting, USC's trying to make a strong move with defensive tackle Jeffrey Imba, 6'6", 305, Independence Junior College in Kansas. He was born in Africa. He moved to France when he was 4, and now he's in the United States. He first went to St. Francis of Baltimore and then St. Thomas More in Connecticut. He failed to qualify on the SAT for college scholarship. He returned to France for a while, but a coach there suggested going the junior college route, which he has done with great success. He's got a lot of big-time offers. He's been talking with USC DL coach Jimmy Lindsay. They want to get him in for a visit. The earliest that could happen would not be until December because of his schedule. He's already been to Miami officially, and he's got Michigan November 27th for the Ohio State game, and he plans to visit Oregon in December. Not all that familiar with USC, but he said that his favorite player is Javon Kinlaw. He has watched Javon Kinlaw, a big guy that moves well. That's his favorite player. So maybe that'll help the Gamecocks. Also, Southern Cal, Auburn, Arizona State, Colorado, Florida, Nebraska, NC State, Tennessee, West Virginia, Missouri, and Mississippi State have offered. Through 8 games this season, Imba has 35 tackles, 12.5 for loss, 2 sacks, and a scoop and score for 45. 7-1 Christian Reeves of Oak Hill Academy, Virginia, tells us not going to be signing during the early signing period. He's been a USC target going on 4 years. He said last night he's not going to sign early. We'll wait until April. USC and Minnesota have been his top 2, and he's keeping the door open for any newcomers. So everything is still open for me, he said. He took an official to USC in June and one to Minnesota in September. Georgia recently made contact. Other schools have been in touch. He's been talking to Frank Martin, and he and his parents talked with Chuck Martin, his recruiter, as well. He says he's been open with them the whole process, and he said that he thinks that Frank Martin has told him they'll probably offer another big player, and that big player might commit. But he said Martin told him they'll still keep recruiting him even if they get a commitment from another big. Of course, he's already been to USC a few times, so he really doesn't see the need to come back for another visit at this point. Dutch Fork wide receiver Antonio Williams set to make his second official of the season this weekend at Ole Miss. He took an official to USC in September and is scheduled to visit November 27th for the Alabama game, and he's scheduled to visit Auburn that weekend. Georgia has also been working him for an official visit. Notre Dame and Florida State are the other 2 schools on his short list. Of course,
Phil, I hate to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Go. I want to add something after you get done with Williams.
Okay. His mother and stepfather both attended Ole Miss. Of course, his stepfather, Murphy Holloway, was a great basketball player there. All right, what?
He will be a great addition from an athletic standpoint to whomever signs him, because we got to see him last week. No. I'm sorry. I'm just if you have not seen him play, you can understand why he's getting all these offers, because that kid is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's a real good athlete.
2023 quarterback Dylan Lonergan of Snellville, Georgia, plans to be at Clemson Saturday for the UConn game. He's not been offered by the Tigers. He camped there in June. He has been offered by USC. Was there for a game in September. USC's been one of the schools on his short list. USC target receiver Camden Brown of Fort Lauderdale plans to visit Florida State this weekend. Let's see. There's a couple of other notes. 2024 receiver Mazio Bennett of Greenville plans to be at Florida State this weekend. Of course, USC signed their 2 basketball commitments yesterday, Davis and Hankin Sanford. And Clemson today announced the signing of all 3 of their commitments, Wiggins, Gibson, and Godfrey. Clemson target 6'7" Vin Allen Lubin of Orlando going to Notre Dame. And a USC target at one time, 6'6" Josh Reed of Atlanta, is going to go to Cincinnati. He has committed to sign with Cincinnati. And USC picked up a baseball commitment tonight. See if I can put my eyes on this real quick. Dylan Eskew, 6'2", 180, a right-hander at Chipola Junior College in Florida. He's out of Tampa, Florida. He was a 24th round pick of Arizona out of high school. Went to Miami, signed with Miami out of high school, but now is at the junior college and now has committed to South Carolina. Will be signing early with the Gamecocks. And that is recruiting for now here on Sports Talk. Here is a little bit of Jason Brown, the new USC starting quarterback. Here is now some Jason Brown, the new USC quarterback. Pat. Here is now some Jason Brown, the new USC quarterback, who started for the first time last week against Florida, gets his second start against Missouri, and he took questions from the media yesterday afternoon.
Jason, what do you feel like you bring to this offense, whether that's a new wrinkle, a new dynamic? What do you feel like your skill set brings, and how do you feel like your skill set translates to what Sat and this offensive staff is asking you to do?
I mean, I really just do what I'm asked. I mean, all the other guys did as well, but I feel like my escapability and be able to make runs or make throws outside of the pocket and things like that, I think that really helps us in ways, and be able to run the football a little bit just to keep the DNs, like if we're running a read option or something, like keep them honest, because that'll help free us up in the run game as well.
Here, Zeb would share stories about talking to, his buddy, obviously Trey Lance, and just being able to try to find different ways to be able to stay level-headed. Have you reached out to anyone, maybe someone in the building? I know Connor Shaw's here, but have you talked to anyone to be able to help you get through this and get ready for this next game?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I talk to my dad all the time. He really keeps me level-headed just because he knows I can't let the Florida game be the peak, Like, I got to continue to grow and continue to get better. And I talked to Sat too. I mean, same with him. I can't allow that game to. The standards here now, so I got to continue to get better and continue to improve each day. And my main goal this week is to come in and help this team beat Missouri.
Jason, when Zeb was picked to be the starter when Luke first got hurt, and I remember you being in the same room, and you were very honest with us about your disappointment, and I believe you even said that, it hurt. But you were the perfect team player. You worked really hard, and lo and behold, Saturday night happens for you. What message would you like to share with anyone, but especially young people, about keeping a winning attitude even when things are going against you?
I would just say never give up in anything that you do, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Don't be negative towards the situation, because negativity is not going to bring the best out in anybody. If I was negative towards Zeb, that wasn't going to be helpful to him. That wasn't going to be helpful to this offense or this organization in any way. So I knew me being positive and just being a good teammate would help us succeed. And it did. We got to 4-4, and then we were able to win the game last week to get to 5-4. So we're above 500. And just never give up and stay the course, because God has a plan for you.
Jason, from the quarterback's point of view, what changed with the offensive scheme? I know that the blocking was somewhat different, but did you guys switch anything up drastically besides putting in you?
No, really. Just coming off the Texas A&M game, that bye week into the Florida week, there was a sign that we would see every play, every day, that Demo would hold around. He'd just walk around practice with it, hold it above his head. And it would just say compete. And that's what we had to do. We just had to come out there, compete, win our one-on-one battles. And we just played with great intensity. And I think that was why we were able to be so successful. And we have a sign this week going into Missouri that just says compete harder. So we just want to steady improve and get better each day and work on our technique and fundamentals and help us win this game this weekend.
And how did the Bobby Boucher impression come about?
The Bobby Boucher thing I started doing that when I was at St. Francis. I love Adam Sandler, and that movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. And just, I always got told I kind of look like Roberto in a way. I always got told I kind of look like him. So I kind of just started doing his impressions, and I would do it so much that I kind of got good at it. And then, now it's all over everywhere. So.
Jason, obviously this team's one win away from bowl eligibility. How do you guys approach this Missouri game or the next two games after that, knowing that, and how do you balance that goal with still trying to prepare and being kind of process driven?
We're not really thinking about bowl eligibility, just because if we were to go out there and win this game this week and we were bowl eligible, then what? Like, are we going to stop playing the last two games, or, you know what I'm saying? So we're not thinking about bowl eligibility at all. We're just thinking about our next opponent, which is Missouri, and we're going to try to go out there and play with great intensity and great intent like we did last week, and hopefully we can come out on top.
All right, Jason Brown, this is the kind of game, Chris, with that Missouri defense. They're hurting and not very good to begin with. You can go out as an offense and have a good day.
I think so. And I think you roll that blueprint back out, and just, you've got to have that offensive line play as well as it did Saturday. Now, will they play as well? It's hard to say, because I thought they were phenomenal, and the reason Carolina won that ball game. But if you get anywhere close to that kind of effort from those guys up front and can run the football, you take a lot of pressure off of Jason Brown. And I think he actually elevates the play of the offensive line as well, because of, as he pointed out, his ability to get outside the pocket, make plays, throw on the run. That pass he made to Josh Vandal on the side, not the one where Van sat down and almost took a nap in the end zone when he was so wide open, but the one along the left sideline that he threw, I thought was one of the best passes I've seen this year.
Yeah, very good, very good. Basketball, Pat Kelsey era underway. College of Charleston. I'm sure our friend Sam is there. We'll get a full report tomorrow night. Cougars leading South Carolina State 44-24. 3:14
Open the game.
before the half.
Open the game on a 19-0 run. That's a good way to get it started.
Absolutely. Basketball tomorrow night. USC is up in Asheville. Clemson's home to Wofford. We'll talk more about that then. It's a football Friday night tomorrow night. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Pat. We'll see
Yes,
you
sir.
in Missouri tomorrow night, everybody. Thanks for being with us.